Okay, good evening, everyone. I would like to call this evening's special council meeting of May the 9th to order, please. And before we begin, I wish to acknowledge the Sauk peoples on whose traditional territory we gather, and we recognize and respect our neighboring First Nation government as well as their historical relationship with the lands and sea that continues to this day. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. I will share that several members of our council are quite ill, so we are going to be our utmost to be efficient and effective through this meeting. I myself have my family scattered about town right now and may have to take one to the hospital, but we do want to focus and get through this as it's very important, and we thank you all, especially those that were rescheduled, for bearing with us on this. So firstly, Council, we do have a new business item that'll be 9.1. So I'll look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the inclusion of item 9.1. So moved by Councillor Parkinson, seconded by Councillor Loggins. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. We do have a delegation this evening, and that would be our auditors from KPMG to present and comment on the audited financial statements. So you were to address. Okay, thank you and welcome.
Good evening. Thanks for having me here. We have completed the audit of the 2017 financial statements and have discussed our audit findings report and completed any remaining procedures. We are prepared to release our independent auditor's report, and that indicates that the financial statements of the district are prepared accurately and that there are no material errors therein. The results of the District of Sauk's operations during the 2017 year were essentially a break-even year. There was accounting surplus of approximately $3.3 million, and all of that was then reinvested back into capital, and a cash surplus of essentially zero for the year ended 2017. In terms of total revenues, those had increased from approximately $15 million to $16.7 million, compared to budget of $12 million, and the variance there being donated assets which are not budgeted for. Those totaled approximately $4 million for the 2017 fiscal year. In terms of expenses, they were $13.3 million for the 2017 fiscal year, increased from 12.7, and in comparison to budget of 12.7 as well. The main difference being a grant for $700,000 issued during the 2017 fiscal year for improvements to the turf field. Overall, in terms of our audit findings, our areas of focus were around the donated assets, appropriate valuation of donated property, contributions to deferred capital, and the existence overall of the assets and liabilities of the district. Of the accumulated surplus balance that exists at the end of 2017, the balance is $116 million. Approximately $100 million of that surplus has already been invested and spent in the capital assets of the district. There's approximately a $1.7 million operating fund surplus and $4.6 million in funds held in reserves for particular and restricted purposes. Those are the highlights of the financial statements for the 2017 fiscal year, and we do appreciate all of the assistance from management in assisting us to complete the audit for the current year.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any questions from members of council? Okay, so then I would look for a motion then that council received the draft financial statement of the District of Sauk, year ended December 31st, 2017, for information. Move receipt by Councillor Loggins and seconded by Councillor Parkinson. These reports will all flow to our website and also will be included in the annual report. Okay, all those in favor? Question, comment, Councillor Casper? No. Oh, pardon me. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Oh, I guess the motion that I read was different than what was on the screen. Move the one on the screen. Okay, thank you, Councillor Casper, for catching that. He's moving the motion on the screen that we accept the financial statements in accordance with Section 167(1) of the Charter, seconded by Councillor Pearson. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, we're good on the statements. Thank you very much for your time with us this evening. Okay, next item up is public question and comment period. So mainly what we have here are our community grant applications, as well as what was provided for the property tax rate bylaw, and of course any comment on the statement. Are there any members of the public that would like to comment briefly on the grant applications as a whole? Seeing none, okay, thank you. Thank you for being here. So that brings us then to the community grants. So what I would like to start with is to see if any members of council may have a conflict with any of these, so that we may move them to the front. Councillor Parkinson?
8.4.
8.4, the Harmony Project Society of BC. And would you like to state the reason for the conflict with the microphone? Councillor Parkinson is on the Board of Directors.
On the Board of Directors.
Okay. Is there just the one for yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And anyone else? Councillor Loggins?
Thank you. Sorry, I don't know the numbers. It was for the EMCS bus project.
Okay, that's 8.2.
Thank you. As I'm an employee of SD62, so that would financially benefit the organization that I work for. And I will step out of the Sioux Harbor Players.
Okay.
And that would be due to the equipment that it's going towards. I'm not 100% sure whether or not it is going to remain at the school, which is my place of employment, or if it will be with the society. So I'll just remove myself from that one as well.
Okay. So what we'll do then is perhaps we'll start with Councillor Loggins, seeing that we're in order here then. If you would like to remove yourself then we will do with both 8.2 and 8.8 first. Okay, Council, you do see the information here in front of you for this. Would you like to receive everyone's full presentations, or is there another motion or idea that you may have? Councillor Casper?
Yes, if I may, I'd like to make a motion that we receive all of the applications for grants as read and submitted.
So receive and fund all of them as submitted.
As submitted, with the exception of the Harmony Project Society. And
because
if there's a seconder, I'll speak to the motion.
And is that because, with the exception of that, because Councillor Parkinson is in conflict?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So this will be, okay, so that's been moved and seconded. So would Councillor Parkinson then need to... No, all of them but the Harmony
Except
Project.
that one, yeah.
Okay. In terms of funding, if I may get clarity then, where does the difference come from? Because there's a slight difference in what we have budgeted and what is submitted. So would that come from council contingency, Mr. Blackhall? It's not significant.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just looking through the report. The remaining balance in the program is $46,000 after what's been approved so far. The total of the applications, as I'm reading here, is $54,537.
Yes.
So the remaining would have to come from contingency, either the operating or the council contingency.
Okay, Councillor Casper is the mover. Did you have a place that you wanted to fund the difference from in particular so we could put it in the motion?
Yes. I was hoping that if the first part of the motion passed, then we could deal with the funding, but I would also add that the remaining balance be funded from the council contingency fund.
Okay, so are you comfortable with this being added to your motion?
Yes.
Okay. So, and the seconder is amenable? Okay, so here
And if I could speak to the motion?
Yes, please go ahead now.
Yeah, so, my rationale in approaching this in the fashion we are is that council has had pretty extensive time to review the applications. And I think that in fairness to all of the applicants, because of the numerous time delays and problems that council had in dealing with our grant applications this year, and in fairness to the projects that all of them have come with, which are truly beneficial to the community, it's very rare that council denies an application that meets all of our requirements. In principle, as far as our grant application process. So I don't have a problem with approving these as a block, with the exception of the last one, and hopefully we can approve that one too. So anyway, that's my rationale behind it, and I hope other councillors feel the same.
Okay, no, I would agree with that. I think each time we sort of look at it, do we want to do them as a block? Do we want to hear the presentations? Our staff have vetted these on numerous occasions for thoroughness and completeness. We all are quite familiar with them. We know that some had already, that we are receiving them, in fact, twice. So yes, it may appear that we're trying to rush through this when we're not, because we actually do want to just see you get on with the projects. They are necessary for our community, and I just really appreciate the work that everyone does to make these things happen. Other comments from members of council? Okay, so I'll call the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously, in which case, because one particular one, I think for the community association, is over the budget, it did require unanimous consent from council to go to 10,000, and we have achieved that. So the motion passes. Councillor Parkinson, if you'd like to step out, and we'll welcome Councillor Loggins back. Councillor Loggins, we have moved them as a block, with the exception of the Harmony project because of the conflict for Councillor Parkinson. So now I'd be looking to a member of council to approve the funding request for the Harmony project. Okay, so moved by Councillor Loggins and seconded by Councillor Pearson that the Harmony Project Society of BC be funded in the amount of $7,000. Any discussion on the application? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's also carried unanimously. So for the interest of everyone here, this is a special council meeting, so the decisions tonight are in fact final. So this information will flow through to staff, and they'll be preparing the checks and notifying you accordingly for either pickup or mail out or whatever. So thank you very much. We appreciate the work that you do in our community, and we do expect that you would invite us to the ribbon cutting or any celebrations that you might have for your projects as a condition of the grant award. So thank you very much, everyone. But please stay. We have an important item of business still. Thank you. Oh, Councillor, can you please return Councillor Parkinson to the room? So before you all leave, we are dealing with an amendment to the property tax rate bylaw. This is likely very important and why you're all here tonight for this new business item. So I'll let Mr. Blackhall, please, if you could just introduce this item, and we'll carry on with it.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the bylaw as it stands right now is at third reading. We'd like to rescind third and adjust it for the silver spray fire protection portion of the bylaw. We received some updated information from the CRD regarding that. So that is changing recovering the costs. What was before about $42,000 now is $52,828. And so that's the only change in the tax rate bylaw. So, and then we'd be looking for adoption of this on Monday evening.
So is that like a CRD requisition to us, or is it a part of actual Sauk municipal taxes?
So we collect it on behalf. It's a fire protection agreement we have with the CRD for the residents of Silver Spray area. So
we collect it on behalf of the CRD.
correct. Yeah, it's a payment to the CRD. They invoice us for this.
Okay, I get it. Okay. Questions from members of council? Councillor Casper?
Yeah, and it's not buried in the CRD requisition that we get as a block of 2-point-something million?
Through your worship to Councillor Casper, that's correct. The CRD requisition for all the other items like Sea Park, et cetera, is a separate requisition and is it is on the bylaw on page 5. You'll see that number there separately.
Okay. So the first motion then is that council rescind third reading of the bylaw cited as property tax rate bylaw number 699-2018. Moved by Councillor Loggins, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. And second, that council give third reading of the bylaw cited as property tax rate bylaw number 699-2018 as amended. Moved by Councillor Loggins and seconded by Councillor Casper. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's also carried unanimously. So on that note, if I may please have a motion to adjourn. Report of in-camera resolutions. What was that? Are there any? Rise in reports? But that was the new business, right? So we received that. So there's nothing then out of there. Okay, so a motion to adjourn, please. Moved by Councillor Parkinson, seconded by Councillor Loggins. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried, and I think that's a record for this council. Thank you.